Thank you, Jenna. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us at this virtual release event. I'm Haley Barbour, Chairman of the National Assessment Governing Board. The National Assessment Governing Board includes 26 representatives of education stakeholders vested in the success of the National Assessment of Education Progress, or NAEP, also known as the nation's report card. The board sets policy for NAEP and includes such stakeholders as state legislators, teachers, testing experts, as well as members of the general public and the business community. Originally, we had planned an in-person event to release the results of the 2018 Nation's Report Cards in U.S. history, geography, and civics, three subjects vital to our students' education and their effective participation in our republic. But as it turns out, it's our civic responsibility to gather virtually. To start us off, it's my great honor and pleasure to introduce Senator Lamar Alexander of Tennessee. Throughout his exemplary career in public service, he served as governor of Tennessee, as U.S. Secretary of Education, as well as senator from his home state. Senator Alexander has been a stalwart supporter of NAEP for 35 years. It's a treat for me to welcome him. Senator?
Well, thank you, Haley. I want to make sure you can hear me all right.
Yes, sir.
Great. I'm calling in from Tennessee, and I thank you very much for inviting me today. You mentioned 35 years ago, I was governor of Tennessee then, and Secretary Bill Bennett, inspired by Checker Finn, called me and asked me to lead the so-called Alexander James Study Group on the National Assessment of Educational Progress, and that group recommended the creation of what came to be called the National Assessment Governing Board to oversee the National Assessment for Educational Progress. Now, I said to that group at the time, look, you go to sleep before you finish saying the name of this thing, so let's call it something that people will pay attention to, and out of that came the nation's report card. We said then that the decision makers needed to see the facts clearly. The nation's report card has become the most reliable instrument in elementary and secondary education to enable state and local leaders to make decisions about how to help our country's students, and these measurements are especially critical in United States history, civics, and geography, where students aren't otherwise tested regularly the same way we test them in reading, math, and science. Without the nation's report card, we wouldn't have any reliable way to measure students' progress in some of the most important subjects that our students need to know. The first speech we make on the floor of the United States Senate is still called the Maiden Address, and in 2003 I made mine about the intersection of two urgent concerns that I said would determine our country's future. I told my colleague senators that these were also the two topics I cared the most about. One, the education of our children, and two, the principles that unite us as Americans. It's time that we put the teaching of American history and civics back in its rightful place in our schools, I said then, so that our children can grow up learning what it means to be an American. We can't ask our children to be productive citizens without teaching them history. I proposed creating summer academies for outstanding teachers in American history. The next year, Congress created presidential and congressional academies to motivate better teaching and better learning of the key events, persons, and ideas that shape our nation. These presidential and congressional academies were later authorized in 2015 with the passage of the Every Student Succeeds Act. Some of the inspiration for that law came from the success that we'd had in the 80s working with the National Geographic Society to put geography back in the school curriculum by supporting teachers of geography as they work to inspire their students about the world we live in. As we've seen in past nation's report card reports, there's always a lot of progress to be made in teaching our children the importance of civics, geography, and United States history. Unfortunately, our lowest scores for high school students are often not in math and science, they're in American history. I've seen all this from many different vantage points as governor, university president, education secretary, and now senator. And all through that time, I've done all I can to return these important subjects to their rightful place in the classroom. Nothing's more important than helping our children understand the unique freedoms and the opportunities that make the idea of America so special. So the nation's report card results released today and each year are a critical measure of where we are and where we need to go. I thank you for your important work. I'm glad that it will carry on so that our children's children grow up learning what it means to be an American.
Thank you, Lamar, for getting us off to a great start.